already know it. It might even seem basic, but the results are out of this world. It's something you may have known all along. Simple, yes, but its power? Truly remarkable. 6 quiet strengths after 80 that often predict longevity. There are secrets to living longer that aren't written in prescriptions or broadcast on the evening news. They live in the quiet moments, in small habits, in soft strengths that only reveal themselves with age. If you stay with me to the very end of this video, you'll uncover 6 subtle, often overlooked qualities common in those who live well into their 90s and even beyond. You might already know them. They might even seem basic, but the results out of this world. This video is not about tips or tricks. It's about deep truths. As we move through each strength, you might feel a quiet sense of recognition. That's because these aren't traits we go out and collect, they're things we slowly become. If you're someone who's been wondering what it takes to not just live long, but live well, to remain rooted, wise, and full of life into your 80s, 90s, or even past 100, then this is for you. Stay with me, because the story we're about to tell isn't just about others. It might be your story too. The strength of steady curiosity. There's a particular sparkle in the eyes of people over 80 who still ask questions, not just about the world, but about themselves, about life, and even about how the toaster works. It's not childish, it's childlike. This quiet strength is steady curiosity. It keeps the brain flexible, builds neural resilience, and invites purpose. Think about it. When you ask questions, you invite new ideas to the table. You stay engaged. Longevity isn't just about the body, it's about the mind, refusing to grow stagnant. And sometimes a good question is worth more than a perfect answer. You might meet someone in their 80s who's learning a new language, or exploring family history, or finally figuring out the settings on their phone. These small acts of curiosity signal something bigger, a refusal to settle into boredom. Neuroscientists have found that even later in life, the brain can build new connections through curiosity. It keeps the spirit agile, and more importantly, it brings joy. Every moment becomes a little adventure. A person over 80 with curiosity in their heart often lives not just longer, but fuller. They greet the day with wonder instead of worry. And that's a beautiful reason to keep going. Emotional temperance. It's easy to mistake emotional restraint for detachment, but many people who age exceptionally well know how to ride life's emotional waves without drowning in them. This strength, emotional temperance, shows up as calm during a crisis, humor in hardship, and grace under pressure. They've learned that most storms pass, that reacting is not always the same as responding, and their bodies, they reflect it. Lower blood pressure, reduced inflammation, better heart health. It's like emotional wisdom becomes biological resilience. These elders don't suppress emotion, they understand it. They've cried deeply, they've loved fiercely, but they've also learned to pause, to breathe, to wait before letting anger speak or fear take the wheel. When a challenge arises, they're often the ones who say, "Let's wait and see." That patience isn't passivity, it's strength. Over decades, this emotional balance builds a foundation of peace. Relationships thrive, minds stay clear, and life feels less like a storm and more like a river. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow, but always flowing. This quiet emotional strength might not earn headlines, but it builds the kind of inner life that carries you across years with grace. Quiet optimism.
This isn't the type of optimism that paints everything pink. No, this is something subtler. It's the quiet belief that something good can still happen even on a bad day. It's rooted in experience, not fantasy. After 80, those who thrive are often those who smile at small things. The way sunlight filters through a curtain, the sound of a familiar song. Quiet optimism helps regulate stress and strengthens immunity. It makes each day worth living and sometimes worth repeating. And here's the beautiful part. This kind of optimism isn't naive, it's earned. It comes after loss, after struggle, after facing life's unfairness and choosing not to become bitter. It's knowing the worst has happened and we're still here, still hopeful, still ready for joy. Studies showed that positive outlooks in later years are strongly tied to longer life expectancy. But this optimism doesn't shout, it whispers. It shows up in a smile given freely, in a soft, "we'll see what happens," in the way a person chooses to make the best of what they have. It's the kind of strength that lights up a room without making a sound. And over time, it becomes one of the most powerful forces for resilience and renewal. Rituals of gratitude. There is a silent rhythm in the lives of those who age with grace, and often that rhythm is gratitude. Not performative, not public, just private, intentional moments of appreciation. It could be as simple as giving thanks for the warmth of the sun on their back or the scent of morning coffee. These small rituals aren't flashy, but they're powerful. After 80, the elders who live longest often share this common habit. They notice what others overlook. Gratitude is not just about feeling good. It's about how you frame your life. When gratitude becomes a lens, the world looks more generous, and the body responds. Studies link daily gratitude with better sleep, lower blood pressure, stronger immune function, and even reduced depression. But more than that, it offers emotional grounding. When so much in life changes, our bodies, our families, our independence, gratitude offers something stable. You might see it in a quiet nod before a meal, a whispered thank you at sunrise, or the gentle way someone remembers a lost loved one with joy instead of pain. These small acts add up. They build resilience. They remind the soul that even in decline, there is beauty worth honoring. And in that practice, that quiet daily honoring, longevity takes root.
A strong sense of timing. There's an elegance in how the elderly who age well move through the world. It's not rushed, not delayed, just attuned. This strength, a strong sense of timing, is one of the most overlooked yet profound indicators of longevity. These individuals seem to know when to speak and when to hold silence, when to offer advice and when to simply listen, when to rest and when to move. It's not a gift of instinct, but of refinement. After decades of living, they've attuned themselves to life's subtle rhythms. They've learned that timing isn't about control, it's about harmony. This shows up in their patience during difficult conversations, their gentleness in transitions, their grace in goodbyes. And their bodies mirror it. Reduced stress, better cardiovascular rhythm, smoother digestion, a sense of inner balance that translates into outer health. Watch someone over 80 who has mastered timing. Notice how they never seem to be in a hurry, yet they're never late for life. They respond with care, they move with wisdom, and perhaps most importantly, they pause. Because in that pause, that moment of stillness before choosing, lies their power. It's not about being slow,
It's about being present. And in presence, longevity finds a loyal companion. The resilience of letting go. Letting go is often seen as giving up, a sign of defeat. But those who age with grace into their 80s and beyond know it as something different entirely: liberation. Letting go of grudges, regrets, past roles, outdated beliefs, it's an emotional exhale. A release that says, I don't need to carry this anymore. This quiet strength is built not in moments of success, but in moments of surrender. And surrender is not weakness. It is the wisdom to know when holding on is hurting more than helping. Elders who live long and well often speak of choosing peace over pride, of choosing love over the need to be right. That kind of emotional maturity lightens the heart and the body. Stress hormones reduce, sleep improves, and there's more space for joy. Letting go might mean forgiving a sibling after decades, or releasing an identity that no longer fits, or simply saying, that was then and this is now. This strength doesn't get applause, but it creates internal space for healing, for breath, for forward movement. And in that space, longevity flourishes. The power of stillness. In a world constantly urging us to hustle, to do more, to fill every hour with noise and motion, the elderly often teach us something radical: how to be still. Not passive, not idle, but still in the richest sense. The power of stillness is the ability to sit with one's thoughts without fear, to notice, to listen, to exist without distraction. People over 80 who live long and well often carve out daily moments of quiet. A slow morning on the porch, a gaze out the window at the shifting clouds, a pause in conversation to absorb a memory. These moments might seem uneventful, but physiologically, they are deeply restorative. The parasympathetic nervous system kicks in, the body calms, inflammation drops, clarity returns, and spiritually, stillness invites presence. In stillness, one becomes a witness to life instead of a passenger. This strength doesn't demand attention, but it changes everything. It makes room for reflection, for gratitude, for peace. In stillness, the heartbeat steadies and the mind settles. And over years, that daily practice becomes a foundation for health. Stillness is where wisdom gathers, and those who embrace it often age not just gracefully, but joyfully. If you're still here with me, listening to these quiet truths, something inside you likely recognizes their power. Maybe you see yourself in these strengths, or maybe you see someone you love. If this message has touched you in any way, even just a moment of pause or reflection, I invite you to type 1 in the comments below. Just the number, a simple signal, a quiet nod to say, I'm here. This matters to me. Your comment might seem small, but it has weight. It tells others they're not alone on this journey. It tells me that what we're building here, this space for wisdom, for connection, for gentle strength, is needed. So pause with me, breathe, and if something in your heart says yes, even softly, type 1 below. Let's honor the quiet strengths we carry together. And if you're ready, keep going, because what comes next might just speak even louder to your spirit. The strength of presence. There's something deeply grounding about being in the presence of someone who is fully there, not distracted by a screen, not lost in thought, not waiting for their turn to speak, just present. Many people over 80 who live with vibrancy possess this quiet strength. They bring their full attention to each moment, and you can feel it. When they talk to you, you feel seen. When they listen, you feel heard. That level of presence is rare, and it's powerful. It deepens relationships, fosters intimacy, and enhances memory. Scientific studies even show that mindfulness and present moment awareness contribute to lower stress, improved brain function, and longer life expectancy. But this strength isn't learned overnight. It's honed over years of living, of realizing that life isn't just in the milestones, but in the little moments, the taste of fruit, the laugh of a child, the warmth of sun on the skin. Elders who embody presence don't try to rush conversations. They're comfortable with pauses. They've learned that silence can speak volumes. And because they savor the moment, they help others do the same. In a fast world, presence slows us down to what matters. And those who live longest often know it's not time that gives life meaning, but attention. Gentle discipline. Gentle discipline may not sound like a strength, but it's one of the most quietly powerful forces shaping longevity. This isn't about rigid rules or harsh routines. It's about consistency, kindness, and care. Many people over 80 who continue to thrive have daily habits that support their well-being. They might stretch every morning, take a walk after dinner, or read a few pages before bed. Nothing flashy, nothing extreme, just small, repeated actions that honor their health and values. This kind of discipline isn't about control, it's about devotion. A devotion to what works, to what feels right. And it comes with flexibility, knowing when to bend, rest, or change course. Research confirms what these elders know intuitively, that regular routines support mental clarity, sleep quality, physical resilience, and emotional stability. The power lies not in the task itself, but in showing up for it day after day. Think of it like tending a garden. A little care each day leads to flourishing over time. Gentle discipline is the reason some elders have radiant skin, sharp minds, and strong spirits. It's not luck, it's loyalty. Loyalty to the small choices that over decades shape an extraordinary life.
Flexibility in mind and body. We often talk about physical flexibility as a sign of health, but mental and emotional flexibility are just as crucial for longevity. The elders who age exceptionally well tend to have one thing in common. They remain open. Open to change. Open to being wrong. Open to learning. This quiet strength shows up in subtle ways. A willingness to try a new food, to listen to a different opinion, or to adapt when life doesn't go as planned. Being flexible doesn't mean being passive. It means being responsive. It means having the inner elasticity to stretch without snapping. Those over 80 who possess this quality have learned that life doesn't always ask permission before it changes. So instead of resisting, they adjust. And in doing so, they conserve energy, reduce stress, and bounce back faster from setbacks. Studies show that cognitive flexibility in aging adults is linked to better memory, reduced risk of dementia, and even higher life satisfaction. Physical flexibility also plays a role. Gentle movement, stretching, tai chi, or yoga can all help maintain mobility and circulation. But the deeper strength lies in the mind, in the heart, in the ability to say, let's try another way. Flexibility isn't weakness. It's quiet, graceful strength, and it helps life keep flowing. Emotional maturity. By the time someone reaches their 80s, they've seen decades of life, love, and loss, success and failure, joy and sorrow. Those who age with grace often possess an emotional steadiness that feels like an anchor. They don't overreact to minor frustrations. They don't gossip. They don't stew in old grudges. Instead, they've learned to choose their peace over being right. This quiet strength of emotional maturity might not stand out in a crowd, but it speaks volumes in how someone lives. When conflicts arise, they breathe. When sadness visits, they make space for it without being consumed. When others disappoint them, they offer compassion rather than judgment. Studies show that emotional regulation is strongly linked to health outcomes, lower blood pressure, fewer chronic illnesses, and greater resilience during recovery from illness or surgery. Emotional maturity isn't cold or stoic. It's warm and wise. It knows when to speak and when to let silence hold the truth. The elders who exhibit this quiet power don't suppress emotion. They've just learned how to hold it gently. They remind us that the real strength is not in avoiding pain, but in moving through it with grace. And this strength, perhaps more than any other, brings a calm that protects the heart and extends life. Lifelong curiosity. Curiosity might sound like something for the young, but it's a remarkable trait in the oldest among us. Elders who live well into their 80s and 90s often retain a spark of wonder. They ask questions. They seek to understand. They're interested in the world, new ideas, people, art, books, even the latest technology. This ongoing curiosity keeps the brain active and agile. Neurologically, learning something new forms fresh connections in the brain, helping delay cognitive decline and improving memory. But beyond the science, curiosity is a spirit, one that keeps life rich and vibrant. It keeps elders engaged with the world rather than retreating from it. They might take a painting class, join a local book club, or learn to use a tablet to talk to their grandkids. They might ask, "How does this work?" Or, "Tell me more about that." And that simple act of reaching out for more knowledge, more understanding, more life is profoundly life-giving. Curiosity doesn't mean always doing something big. It can be quiet, like noticing a flower you've never seen before, or asking a neighbor about their life. Staying curious means staying awake to life's magic. And for many, that spark never fades. In fact, it just grows brighter with age. When we think of courage, we often imagine bold, dramatic actions. But there's another kind, softer, quieter, yet equally powerful. It's the courage to wake up after loss and still make your bed. The courage to show up at a community event when your body feels tired. The courage to keep loving, knowing that loss may come again. This is soft courage,
And many people over 80 carry it in their bones. They don't wear it like a badge. They don't boast about their trials, but they have faced them and continued. This strength often hides behind kind smiles and gentle words, but it's there in the decision to keep going, to keep hoping, to keep connecting. Longevity isn't just about health, it's about heart. And courage is what keeps the heart open when life tries to shut it down. Research links resilience, the cousin of courage, with longer lifespans, faster healing, and greater emotional health. Those who live longest are often the ones who've said yes to life, even when it was hard. They've taken small, brave steps day after day. And though the world may not see it, their quiet courage shapes every room they enter. It's not loud, but it's steady, and it carries them forward, one moment at a time. Joyful acceptance. One of the most unexpected strengths that shows up after 80 is joyful acceptance. It's the deep, calm recognition that life unfolds as it does, not always as we want, but often just as it must. And instead of resisting every twist and turn, elders with this strength welcome life with a gentle nod. They still have preferences, of course, but they've let go of the need to control it all. This doesn't mean resignation. It means peace. It means knowing what to fight for and what to release. Elders who embrace joyful acceptance have often come through hardships, not untouched, but unbroken. They've lost people they loved, changed homes, faced health scares, and yet they carry a lightness, not because life was easy, but because they've made peace with what is. That peace protects the body. Studies show lower inflammation and better immune function in people who practice acceptance. But beyond biology, there's something spiritual here. These individuals laugh more, they worry less, they find beauty in imperfection. They say things like, "That's just life," not with defeat, but with grace. Joyful acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means showing up for life just as it is and still finding it beautiful. That's not weakness. It's one of the strongest things a human heart can do.
Wisdom in stillness. Stillness is often mistaken for doing nothing, but in truth, it's a form of knowing. And elders who live long, meaningful lives often carry a deep, quiet wisdom that lives in their pauses. They don't rush to fill silence. They don't speak just to be heard. They wait, they feel, they consider. In a world of constant noise and opinions, their stillness feels like a sanctuary. This kind of wisdom isn't taught in books. It's earned through experience, by observing, reflecting, and living slowly enough to notice what matters. Elders with this strength are often the ones you want to sit beside on a quiet afternoon. They may not say much, but when they do, it matters. Research even supports this. Contemplative practices and time spent in quiet reflection correlate with lower anxiety, stronger emotional health, and longer lifespans. Stillness slows the heartbeat, softens the nervous system, and invites presence. And in that presence, a different kind of wisdom is born. The kind that doesn't need to be right, but longs to be real. Wisdom in stillness isn't about answers. It's about asking better questions, about listening to life itself. And often, the ones who age the best are those who have learned not just to do, but to be.
And now we come to perhaps the most powerful quiet strength of all, the power of legacy. It's not about fame or buildings with your name on them. It's about the small, steady ways you shape the lives around you. Elders who live long and leave something meaningful behind often live with intention. They tell stories, they pass down recipes, they teach patience, they love fiercely. And they understand that even the smallest act of kindness ripples outward in ways we can't always see. Longevity isn't just about how long you live, it's about what continues after you're gone. Your laugh in a grandchild's voice, your wisdom in a neighbor's heart, your kindness remembered by a friend. These quiet strengths, especially after 80, are not just traits, they're gifts. And here's the beautiful secret. You might already have them. You might be practicing them now in ways so gentle you didn't even notice. They might seem basic, but the results? They're out of this world. If you've made it this far in the video, type 2 in the comments and let us know which strength resonated most. And please, if you found this meaningful, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to be reminded of their quiet power. The best is never behind you. It's in every moment you live with heart.